Hey everyone, it's Rihanna and welcome back to another video. I am finally, at long last, doing my top 10 movies of 2015 list. Now this is my completely biased opinion. These are just the films I enjoyed most, or I found the most engaging or intriguing, or I found them to be the best films. These are not necessarily all Oscar-worthy, perfection, best film of ever kind of films. These are just my personal list, and you guys might not have the same films on your list I have on my list, so just be gentle with me when I go through my list of my top 10 films of 2015. Before we actually get into the top 10 list, I always have to do my honourable mentions, and I have two honourable mentions for you guys this time round. The first one being Predestination, which was mind-blowingly good. I've seen it twice now and each time it just blew my mind equally, and it's such a fantastic sci-fi, super underrated, it's got great performances, and just, I don't want to tell you that much about the film because you need to go into this film not knowing anything, but if you haven't seen Predestination yet, check Predestination out, it's so good. And my second honourable mention, which isn't on the top 10 list, which might shock quite a lot of you, is Steve Jobs, starring Michael Fassbender, directed by Danny Boyle, and with a fantastic Oscar snub of the year screenplay by Aaron Sorkin that would have wiped all of the other contestants off the floor with his fantastic dialogue in this film. I really enjoyed Steve Jobs. I just wasn't fully connected with it like most people were that have the film in their top 10. If you want to hear all of my full thoughts on my top 10 list, I will leave links to every single review I've done on the films down below in the description. And now we do start off with the top 10 list. At number 10 we have Brooklyn. Now I loved Brooklyn so much. It's one of the most genuine, funny, cute romances of the past kind of 5 years, and I absolutely adored Brooklyn. It had no cliches, even though you knew it was going to happen in the end, but I love that about the film. I love that the film portrayed a heartwarming as well as heartbreaking story. Saoirse Ronan gives such a great performance in this film as an Irish immigrant who has to move to Brooklyn to work. It's just got such a great screenplay, great direction, great cinematography, costume design. It's all around a beautiful film to look at, and it's set in the 1950s, I believe. I could be wrong. I think it's the 1950s. I just looked the time period up on Google and thank God it is the 1950s. Yes, it's a beautiful film, such a great romance story. It's so cute, it's so fluffy, and it's just so heartwarming to watch. I absolutely loved Brooklyn. If you haven't already seen it, go check it out. Coming in at number 9 we have Creed, which is a continuation on from the Rocky legacy. It actually follows Apollo Creed's son, Adonis Creed, who's played by Michael B. Jordan, who teams up with Rocky, played by Sylvester Stallone, to make a name for himself in the boxing world. Now I loved this film as a film. I loved it as a Rocky film, as a boxing film, but I loved it as a film. It's just so well directed, so well acted, and it's just an incredible uplifting story, and it's just so inspirational. When that Rocky soundtrack kicks in this film, you just feel like you need to go take a 5-mile jog down the road somewhere. That's how great this film was. It got me so pumped up. Coming in at number 8 is Straight Outta Compton, which is the musical biopic about the rap group in the 80s called NWA. Now for someone who had no clue whatsoever about NWA going into this film, I came out incredibly inspired, and I just feel like this film was incredibly important to see. It had great acting, it was funny, it had great music in it, and I just feel like it's a very relevant topic for now. It talks about police brutality and racism, and even though that was a major issue in the 80s, it is still a major issue today, and it keeps going on. The rise, the fall, and the glory of NWA is such an engaging storyline to follow in this film. This film is impactful, it's engaging, it's entertaining, it's everything you want in a musical biopic. It's done so well. Even though I've only seen Straight Outta Compton once, that one viewing lasted with me for a long time. I was thinking about Straight Outta Compton well after I saw this film. Coming in at number 7 is the 2015 film that I watched at the latest possible date because it literally just got released here in the UK, which is Room, starring Brie Larson and Jacob Tremblay as a mother and son that have been trapped in a room for 5 years who are trying to get out. Now something about Room has stayed with me. I'm still getting emotional about it. I'm still thinking about it, the way that it's made, the way that we see things through the eyes of a child, and the way that we experience things in this film. It was an incredibly emotional film. I was a complete mess coming out of it, and I really just have to see this film again. I thought the performances were fantastic, and I just thought it was done so kind of subtly, but it's so impactful at the same time, and that's what I really love about films, is when you can take such a simple story and make it into something really impactful that's going to connect to an audience. And Room has just stayed with me ever since I saw it, and I just feel like I need to go see it again. Coming in at number 6 is The Martian, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Matt Damon as Mark Watney, an astronaut who is stranded on Mars. Now for me, The Martian had everything. It had comedy, it had drama, it had a slight bit of sci-fi since it is based on Mars, but it's more to do with how he copes and how Mark Watney survives on Mars. And it was just so great that Matt Damon could carry this film all on his own, and I love seeing the scenes on Mars, as well as seeing the scenes in NASA. They just kept this film incredibly entertaining, especially for its long runtime. I didn't feel it go by whatsoever. I saw this film twice in theatres and really just loved it. I really love the comedy in it. I love the kind of touching, light-hearted moments in this film as well. I just really love The Martian. I love anything to do with space, so that's probably why. And now we're into the prestigious top 5 of 2015, and at number 5 we have Kingsman: The Secret Service, which came out in January of 2015, so it was a while back, but since I saw it for the first time, I've seen it multiple times on DVD, and every single time I watch this film, I just have a blast of a time. It just takes the kind of spy concept, makes it really entertaining and funny, and I just love these characters. I love Harry Hart, I love Eggsy, I love Roxy. I even love the character of Valentine and Giselle. I thought Giselle was such a badass in this movie. The rewatchability of Kingsman is ridiculous, and you just never get sick of Matthew Vaughn's direction in the action scenes, because by God, that church scene with Colin Firth as Harry Hart is really one of my favourite scenes of 2015 overall. It's just a stunning action sequence. I love the ultra violence in Kingsman, and I just never get sick of watching it. Kingsman is one hell of a time. Coming in at number 4 is Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, which came as a surprise to me, considering I had no idea this film was happening until about June of 2015, when people started talking about it and people started loving it. I love this film because it takes the high school and teenager and cancer story, blends them all together and just makes something different out of it. It doesn't have a lot of cliches, but it is incredibly heartfelt and emotional. It's a funny film. I love the cinematography and the styling of this film, and I just love the characters of Greg, Rachel and Earl. I just really connect to those characters. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I was in high school like 3 years ago, but I really resonated with Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. I love the way the characters make their little short spoof films. I love that they're so individualized and they don't know what they want to do in their lives, and they don't really know who they are as people, but they work well together, and these characters just have so much chemistry together. And I haven't seen the film since seeing it at the open air cinema, but I really need to get the DVD that just came out. And I quickly have to mention one of the ending scenes in Me and Earl and the Dying Girl that plays The Big Ship by Brian Eno. Tears everywhere. Ooh, we're getting into the top 3 now. This is exciting. And at number 3 we have The Revenant, which is the newest film directed by Alejandro González Iñárritu. And I had a feeling this film would be on my top 10 of 2015 list, considering Birdman was my favourite film of 2014. I love The Revenant. It's an experience and a half. It's a very long film, but you feel like you've been on this journey, and by the end of it you're as exhausted as Leonardo DiCaprio is in this film. When Alejandro González Iñárritu and Emmanuel Lubezki work together, magical things happen. When they take risks like they did in Birdman with the one-shot sequences, and in this film when they use the on-location and the natural lighting, it just made for such a realistic, raw man versus nature survival story. Leonardo DiCaprio gives such a raw and physical performance, and Tom Hardy, you love to hate him in this film, and I love this film so much. It's what I love most about filmmaking. It's what I strive to do in filmmaking, and I'm not going to babble on about this film too much because you can just go check my review out. But The Revenant is an experience and a half, and I just was so transported into this film. Coming in at number 2 on my list is Mad Max Fury Road. Now, I had such a blast watching Mad Max Fury Road. It's such an insane movie, from the acting by Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy to the direction from George Miller, with the practical effects and the insane score, and the fact that the film is basically one long-running car chase sequence. And usually I don't like car chases, but this one is the exception, because Mad Max Fury Road is just so heart-pumping, so energizing. You just feel like you're high every single time you watch this film. I've seen it many times on DVD since seeing it in the cinema. The cinematography, the acting, the practical effects. This film is just one insane joyride, and I absolutely loved it. What a fun time, but what a seriously well-made film with great characters that you can actually sympathize with, even though they aren't actually that well developed. But Mad Max Fury Road, I just want the sequel now already. Now, you guys have probably guessed what my number 1 film of the year is, considering I'm such a fangirl for this franchise and I love it so much. So my number 1 film of 2015 is, of course, Star Wars: The Force Awakens. My completely biased and probably everyone else's favourite film of the year is Star Wars: The Force Awakens, but the hype surrounding this film and the build-up to this film is just one of the best experiences I've had kind of with marketing in film. Everyone was so hyped about it. J.J. Abrams had teased us and kept things from us, And I love that about this film, because going into it you were blind. You only knew who the characters were and a little bit about them, and you kind of just knew what the overall plot was. But seriously, going into this film, watching it at the midnight premiere with all these Star Wars fans is such an experience. You're sitting there transfixed, taken into the Star Wars universe, and you just love it. You feel like you're a kid again watching the originals or watching the prequels, and you're just so transfixed into the Star Wars universe, and I just absolutely love this film. It had drama, it had emotion, it had comedy, it had such great action sequences directed by J.J. Abrams, and it just felt so new, but with pinches of the original. Like the heart of the original had been taken and put into this new Star Wars film, and I just absolutely loved it. I've seen it 4 times in the cinema and I just really want to go see it again. I just want to sit down and watch Star Wars all day, all night. Just Star Wars basically. There you have it guys, those are some of my top 10 films of 2015, another year, another top 10 list, and we will have to wait for 2016 for another one, but those are the films I loved the most in 2015. Please share what your list of the top 10 films you loved in 2015 down below in the comments. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing lots more TV reviews and movie reviews for you guys very, very soon. As always, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you very soon. Bye!